you drop off this call.
That's right.
So let's talk about sprawl, Nick. How many apps do you think? Why does this feel like deja vu? We've looked at apps and the number of apps, right? I think we've asked this question as well. How many apps do you think live in your environment?
Rent-free, I'm going to say a minimum of 252, mainly because I've looked in my tenant.
That's actually less than what happens when you spin up a new Microsoft 365 tenant.
Yeah, and I have to just to interject there. We have to also differentiate between apps which you put in your tenant versus apps that Microsoft puts into your tenant. And there's actually a list, a third-party list that is maintained by a beautiful human known as Meryl Fernando, who actually maintains a GitHub repo that I reference in my code when I figure out what is actually native versus what is third party. So, Al, just to clarify the point, you are talking about third party apps.
Talking about any apps, man, any apps that, the random person that sat inside of Teams that says, I want Reich inside of Teams, shows up as an app inside of Entra ID.
That's right.
And that's not the only thing we care about, Nick. Another question. What do you think this number means?
It is not the percentage of fat to muscle on my waistline, so it must be not the visceral fat I carry, but rather the number of applications per person, Al?
Well, right at the beginning of the year when
close.
we talked about how many non-human identities, ergo agents, are going to be living inside of tenants, the number that we got back from IBM was about 90. So we halved that number, and we reckon outside of the agentic stuff that you are going to be building with Copilot, we believe that there's a 45-to-1 ratio living inside of your tenant, right? Every integration script or SaaS connector is an identity that lives inside. If you don't know that, then you should actually get off this call, because then you're very confused. Actually, don't get off this call. Stay with us, and we'll talk to you about these things. And the problem with these applications is that they just show up. It literally just shows up. You already have a couple of hundred there just because Microsoft attached Entra ID to a Microsoft 365 tenant. Third-party vendors, first-party vendors, every type of vendor, they all showed up and they knocked at your door, and even end users started doing things. So 45-to-1. So if you've got 100 people in your organization, that's 4,500 non-human identities, ergo apps, that are living inside of your tenant, right? That is scary if we went on those things.